Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show. Today, we are discussing business relationship manager as a career and why employers are hiring BRMs. My name is Lori Quackenbush. I'm with APMG International. I am absolutely thrilled to be your host today. So we have Shanice over in the chat. So please let us know your name and the city you're from where you're joining. And feel free, get involved in the chat, put your questions in the panel, and we'll answer them during our live show. So there's a quote I really like from Steve Jobs where he says, "Great things in business are never done by one person, they're done by a team of people." And we all know how important relationships are in business. And today we're going to discuss business relationship managers in detail as a role. So stick around for a really great show. Now, we have a very experienced panel today, so I'm going to jump right in and you can meet them. First, we have Svetlana Sedenko. Svetlana is a 10-year partner of the BRM Institute. She has excelled as a BRM coach and practice leader and is recognized as a BRM Institute Master Knowledge Provider. Her expertise was acknowledged when she became the BRM of the Year for 2024. So as the VP at IT Chapter, Svetlana has pioneered and advanced BRM principles in her role as a mentor, where she's trained and coached a new generation of BRM and ITSM professionals for the last 15 years. Hi, Svetlana.
Hi.
Happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori.
Absolutely. So next we have Sean Brown. Now, Sean is an IT business partner for Atkin Realis. So he's out of Houston, Texas. And in his role, he's responsible for the understanding of business and acting as a liaison between the business and global IT. So he has more than 25 years in the IT field, and he's obtained quite a few certifications, including the Microsoft MCSE, ITIL, and BRMP. Hi, how are you, Sean?
Hi, good morning. Nice to be here. I'm doing well, thanks. You doing okay?
Absolutely. We're thrilled to have you,
Awesome.
and I think we're going to have a great show with lots of great questions. So thank you for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
lastly, we have Nick Chenet. Nick has a 15-year tenure with the government of Canada, and he's been marked by a steadfast commitment to innovation and excellence. Beginning his journey back as a service desk manager, Nick's leadership skills and problem solving quickly established him as a pivotal figure in shaping his former department IT landscape. So he's now his rise to directorship within the government reflects his strategic vision and this high regard in which he's held by his peers. Hi, Nick. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everybody.
So let's get right into it. We have some great questions already ready to go. So let's get into questions. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So our first question, we're just going to send this to Svetlana first. You can start us off. So can you describe what business relationship management is?
Well, business relationship management is actually a multifaceted concept encompassing philosophy, capability, discipline, and role. It's 4 in 1. And it's fostering a culture of collaboration, building strategic partnerships, driving organizational value, and fulfilling organizational broader purpose. Well, I will start with explaining what is a philosophy. What is a BRM philosophy? It's a belief, essentially. It's a belief in positive relationships. It's grounded in the idea that positive and constructive relationships are pivotal for driving value within organization. And these relationships are believed to have the most significant positive impact on economic value, people, and the planet. BRM philosophy is based on that everyone in organization cares about relationships, believes that relationships is their business, and they care and believe in the power of being welcoming.
Absolutely.
As a capability, BRM capability refers to the combined set of visible and invisible action. Actually, it's everything it takes to build, maintain, and nurture relationships systematically. It's a structured approach. And the key word here is intentional and deliberate. Organization intentionally and deliberately builds, maintains, nurturing relationships. The third element is a discipline. As any other organizational discipline, for example, as project management discipline or cybersecurity discipline, BRM is also a discipline. involves applying structured methodology, best practices. You can think about processes, templates, visible artifacts, and know-how. And finally, what everyone knows is a role. Business relationship manager is a role which is involving a specific set of competencies and skills essential for advancing the BRM capability within organization. Most of us know BRMs as people who are in a BRM role.
Right.
And these people are specifically competent in this field.
Great answer. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Our next question is, this is going to go out to everyone. We're going to start with Sean. Sean, what exactly do BRMs do on a daily basis?
Thanks, Ms. Lori. Now, BRMs are responsible for understanding an organization's strategy and ensuring that the business and IT are aligned to these objectives. A typical day may begin with a meeting with a business unit wanting a shiny new toy, an example, a new piece of technology. It's a BRM's duty to understand why they want this toy, how they're going to use it, who's going to pay for it, and when do they need it. Once this is all figured out, they help the business write a business case, bring up any concerns or risks, and then sit down with the business leaders to help influence the decision.
Great answer. Love it. Nick, what do you think?
Thank you.
Really revolves around stakeholder engagements, nurturing and building the relationships, and really understanding where the business partners or branches really want to go, and how does that align to services or solutions that IT may or may not have. But like Sean said, influencing those decisions, influencing capabilities that may need to be added to the technology portfolio, and really ensuring that can properly communicate within IT, but also with the business, ensuring that we move forward the business outcomes.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. Svetlana, what are your thoughts?
Well, to support Sean and Nick, I would say that BRM is playing in both domains, in strategic domain and in the execution domain. Sure. In the strategic domain, BRMs are focusing on the long-term direction of organization, setting goals, removing obstacles, ensuring sustainable results. They are involved even maybe sometimes are doing or helping, assisting, building the business cases, prioritizing projects, talking budgets and strategy. And the execution domain, they are more concentrated on the immediate results. Yeah. And it's can be fulfilling some demands, non-standard demands, or assisting in the small initiatives and projects to ensure the value. BRM has to be the single point of focus. This is very important. Doesn't matter where BRM is in the strategic or execution domain. They are both important. And I would like to conclude my answer with mentioning what BRM is not. What BRM is not doing. BRM is not a service level manager, not an order taker, not a project manager, not a single point of contact versus single point of focus.
Yeah.
BRM is not a service desk, not a business analyst, and not a gut filler. BRM meeting the business partner where they are, giving them hand, and involved and participating in both execution and strategic domains.
I love it. I love that you brought that up, what a BRM is not, because everybody does assume that they're all these things that they're not. So I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. That's a great response. All right, our next question. Now, this is going to go to Nick and Sean. How and why did you decide to become BRMs? Nick, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I was actually influenced by a previous mentor. He saw that there was a gap at the department that I was working for and convinced me to proceed with BRM training, see if that was the issue, if we can go down and really implement this capability within the organization. Did the training, went to my first meeting, and I was hooked. I was hooked from day one. As far as, it's really common sense. It's about conversations, communication, building those relationships. But you do need somebody in the organization to bridge those gaps. And that's really how I decided to become a BRM, and has led me to where I am today.
You love it, right?
Happy I do love it. Yes.
Sean, what about you? What's your story?
I decided to become a BRM when I started as a district technology manager. I was a DTM for over 10 years, and the company having a necessity for someone who knows the business and can be that interface between IT and the business. Now, of course, business goals don't always translate into IT world and vice versa. So I think the BRM is a position that is more of that interpreter. So,
Right.
I mean, I'm great with communicating with the business. I'm great with communicating with IT, having technical skills. So I think it's the best of both worlds.
I love that. Looking at it as an interpreter. I think that's great. Love that.
Indeed.
Our next question. So why did your organization introduce the BRM role, and how do you see BRMs adding value to their organizations? Sean, what do you think?
Great question. Great question, Ms. Laurie. For a long time, there was a huge gap between the IT department and the business. Of course, remember the days when you had IT casually walking the halls and you'd suddenly see everybody minimizing their windows on people's screens. Throughout my career, IT's been seen as the monkey wrench that kind of stood in the way, of the business making money and getting things done. In fact, some individuals would report that dealing with IT as worse than having a root canal.
That's great.
Our organization introduced the BRM role in order to show the employees that IT is here to help you succeed. With the BRM role, you can show the business that it's not always black and white. You can throw a little gray in there at times.
I love that. Love that. Nick, what do you think?
For us, the organization introduced BRM because IT, like Sean mentioned, was really a black hole. Requests, services, demands, ideas, new services or solutions are being asked, but never really followed up, and no one knew exactly what was happening. So the BRM role was really implemented to really facilitate that, to bridge those gaps, to have those conversations and build those relationships, and really help the business understand the process that needs to be done internally to get from A to B, and what is needed. And sometimes the pitfalls, the roadblocks, but also share the successes and share that the realization of value that is being done. So this is why our organization really added that BRM role, and that's been successful.
That's great. Again, driving that value is just so important. So important. All right, our next question. Now we're going to start this off with Svetlana. Svetlana, why are more employers seeking BRMs now more than ever? Basis of our show today.
Yes. So why? That's a very, very good question. We see over past, I would say 10 years, but maybe even a little bit longer than that, but within past 10 years and specifically within past 5 years, there very much growth of their BRM hiring in organizations. I would attribute it to the growing number of needs and challenges. I will talk about the challenges. Organizations are spending big budgets and funds on digital transformation without realizing the change, right? There's no change at the end. Investments in this transformation often fail to deliver expected changes of value. Basically, their technology which organization aims to implement doesn't deliver value results. The culture is not collaborative often in organization, and specifically in relation to the digital transformations. Organizations are living in functional silos, which needs more communication and collaboration. And these silos, they impede effective collaboration and synergy across departments. The big one is focus on cost instead of focusing on value.
Yeah.
And that also embeds long-term growth and investment. Poor communication between business units and IT or provider organization. Business needs are misunderstood very often, and there's no translator in between who would connect their delivered solution and actual business needs. Another big one is organizations are missing the framework for value recognition. The value is not recognized, not measured, not communicated. There's no KPIs or meaningful KPIs at least. And sometimes organizations have outdated structures which are not suitable to the digital era. So for all these challenges, organizations are seeking their specific help or role, if I would say, or building the capability to them to bring our organizations to the new level. So that's what the organizations are hoping for when they're hiring now BRMs to address all these challenges.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head again. It's just, I mean, there's so many challenges every day. I mean, it's paramount to have this as a role in your company. Nick, what do you think?
As Svetlana mentioned, really it's around value realization, success measures, the outcomes. IT is good at implementing, but did we implement the right thing? Did we implement the right solution? Do we see success at the end? Um, and this is really one of the crucial roles of the BRM, is to ensure that what the stakeholders, what the partners are asking for, is actually what is being delivered and can be measured against, and really achieving those outcomes. So really, I think that's really the main reason I'm seeing the BRMs are in high demand everywhere, ensuring that we can build those relationships with the business.
Absolutely. Even goes back to what Svetlana said about KPIs, like what does success look like, right? Absolutely. Sean, what's your take on this?
I love both Nick's points and Miss Svetlana's points. Of course, bringing value, and I think too the BRM role is more popular because companies are moving from a siloed approach, to tapping into ideas of their employees, wanting to find out from their employees, hey, is this a good idea? What do you think? What are your thoughts? I think when employees feel heard or they're part of a big goal, the commitment and motivation increases, and in turn productivity goes up. So I think that's where BRM kind of helps bring that value to the business as well.
100%. Absolutely love that. I couldn't agree with you more. All right, let's get into our next question. We got loads. We'll try to move quickly as we can through these. So where do organizations actually find BRMs, and how can someone transition into a BRM role from other positions? Nick, what do you think?
You can really find BRMs anywhere. But I know at the recent BRM event, there was a poll, and most of the BRMs are coming from internal within MIT. Doesn't say they always have to. A lot of them do come from the business side as well. But I think it's more important to also focus on key skills, right? Relationships, communication, problem solver, really enact, really have success or define outcomes. It's really those skills I think that are essential. And once you find that person, or you think you have those skills, I really would encourage you to look down the BRM path, because those are essential to really be a great and exceptional BRM. And it's truly what the businesses are looking for.
Yeah, communication is just essential. Svetlana, what do you think?
Well, the BRMs are coming both from external to organization and internal. Very, very often what we observe, BRMs are growing internally. Business analysts are quite commonly become BRMs. Why? Because they know business very well and they already have the business acumen. We see that BRMs are sourced from inside of organization, also from the business domain, but mostly because we're in IT, from the IT domain. We also observe quite an emergence of BRMs and HR function a lot. And it's a natural progression for BRMs to grow. In any case, the BRM is a great career. And I can testify and witness over the past 10 years of my involvement with the business relationship management very deeply. We already have several CIOs and senior VPs who grew up from a position of BRM. It's a great start to go to the higher levels of career for those who have these ambitions. And from external sourcing, their BRMs are also coming, so they just being approached and for their skills, as Nick mentioned, for the relationship skills and other competencies.
You were named BRM of the Year for 2024, so that's a pretty wonderful thing as well. So you must love it. Must love it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sean?
Well, I think that BRMs, organizations can find them in every department. A great BRM candidate somebody who knows the business inside and out, from processes and procedures to just the key individuals in the company. Great BRM is a person with excellent communication and problem solving skills, right? And able to influence business decisions. Now, how can somebody transition into a BRM role? I think by knowing the business and getting to know people. You have to be a people person. There's no doubt. I mean, you have to get to know people, find out what they're about, just find out, what their struggles are, what they're trying to accomplish. And, then you kind of work hand in hand.
Yeah. I think you guys all talked about it. It's like, you have to have that translator, something that's integrating with all the different, areas. I think that's phenomenal. Really makes sense. All right, let's go to our next question. We have so many. I'm going to try to get through as many as we can, guys. I know we kind of touched on this. Nick, you mentioned this, but what key skills do you believe are essential for a successful BRM? Sean, we'll start with you, okay? What do you think?
Okay, fair enough. All right. To be a successful BRM, I think you need great analytical skills. You need to know how to build and foster relationships, so that people trust you. You need great communication skills, like I mentioned before, to collaborate, with the business, senior leaders, and stakeholders. Of course, having a bit of a technical background always helps.
Absolutely. Svetlana?
Well, I would start with the knowledge, and then I will talk about the skills. From my observation and experience, their knowledge of business relationship management is a key to start developing skills in progression. So we obtain the knowledge, the formal knowledge, training. For that, BRM Institute and the courses are very important. And then we're translating this knowledge in their BRM skills. So the skills, I would say, I would group in 4. First, it's about culture and understanding people, and be a great storyteller, being able to influence people and communicate. Another is building partnerships, as Sean mentioned, ability to really team up with people and develop partnering relationship. The third one would be about the value and having a skill of recognizing the value, having a business understanding business acumen of your organization, and actually be skilled in reports, KPIs, as simple as that, and understanding the value framework. And finally, understanding of the industry, where you are. This is critical to be trust and credibility in your organization.
Absolutely. Nick, if you don't mind, I'm going to have you start our next question, because we do have some live questions coming in that we want to try to get to. So our next question, this one is, what certifications or education have you found most beneficial in your role as a BRM, and how important is continuous learning and professional development for a BRM? Nick, what do you think?
It's a large question, but
big one.
Yeah, that's okay. I found the most useful, yes, the BRM training, absolutely, but also anything service management related, to understand the services, how IT is run, how IT is organized. ITIL is a good one that comes to mind as far as those different services, those practices, and value. What is value, and how do we drive value? Continuous learning is there's many different institutions, companies, organizations that really promote BRM. And you also see in several of the IT frameworks now, BRMs included. A component of BRM, relationship management, value realization is all included. So I would strongly suggest getting familiar with those IT frameworks and models. See what can you extract that and really apply it to your organization. And to me, that's the most beneficial and most key things that you could do.
Right. Svetlana, as the VP of IT chapter, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, the certifications, of course, business relationship management professional, BRMP, and CBRM. There are 2 very important certifications. BRM Institute recently updated the content of this. It's very modern, very up to date, and recommended to all BRMs. Just to illustrate my belief in these certifications. In IT chapter, everyone is a certified BRMP. And when I say everyone, is everyone, our recruiters, our operations managers, our salespeople, anyone, account managers are certified BRMP. It's a great knowledge for everyone. And of course, for those who are involved in practice directly, CBRM is a good one. There is a number of workshops which we are providing, which is besides the certifications for the teams who are just starting their BRM journey or the teams who want to mature. But for their continual improvement, as Nicola said, ITIL is very much recommended. It's a great knowledge for all the BRMs to understand their domain of IT. And I would also recommend COBIT. It's also provided by APMG, by us, by IT chapter. COBIT is a governance framework. Yep. And for the strategic BRMs, COBIT is also very good certification for continual learning.
Fantastic. Great recommendations. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's move on to the next one. Nick, I'm going to pass this to you. You are a BRM and have led BRM teams in different organizations. What have been some key experiences and lessons that you've learned?
That it's not a rinse and repeat. Every organization, every stakeholders, every partners are different. And may have worked one way for some partners, but it's going to work something or a bit different with others. So really the first thing is really understand the lay of the land, have those conversations, build those relationships, and not really just come into an organization or to partner meetings to think it's going to be working one way, and don't make those assumptions. So really take a step back, listen, active listening, communication, and really build those relationships and apply that. So, and take your time. Take your time. It doesn't get changed overnight, and you have to earn that trust, and that takes time.
I like that. Don't assume anything, right?
Correct.
All right, now I'm going to put you in the hot spot, Sean.
All right.
So the next question that we've got here is, let's see here. What career paths have you seen available for BRMs within your organization?
Well, in my organization, I've seen career paths progress from entry level to being promoted into technical roles, then to management roles, director level, and then to leadership roles. So it's a great career progression.
Lots of upward movement there, right? You can much sky's the limit. Yeah, absolutely. I like that we're moving along, guys, because we have a lot more questions and a lot of live ones coming in, so we'll try to get to everything. All right, our next question is, Nick, would you mind sharing an example of how BRMs have driven significant change in your organization? I know we talked a little bit ROI.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's really something that comes to mind around digital transformation. The BRMs and organizations are really the center of driving the changes for some of our partners, understanding what they truly wanted, their outcomes. And I feel that without the BRM role, it would have been, we want a car, and you have all these questions around what is a car, right? What color, what engine, how many doors. So it's really BRM is the essential piece really to understand what are the outcomes, what are the measures, what is success looking like. So transforming some of our business partners, new solutions, new services, BRM were really the key piece, and they provided value. And they were rewarded for that, and they were recognized for being truly exemplary and really bringing that significant change. So that was truly an experience that was worth noting.
That's so important. Getting recognition, right? Otherwise, it's doesn't make any. Now we're going to go on to the next question. And this, we're still going to be talking about change. And this one, we're putting you on the hot seat again, Sean. How does the role of BRM evolve in response to the changes in the business environment?
Well, I think the BRM role evolves to fine-tune the communication between the business and the shared services provider, usually being IT or HR. It's important to continually assess the state of your relationships with the business leaders. One of the key disciplines of a BRM is to evolve culture. So this can involve some thinking of some creative ways, changing people's thinking in order to achieve common goal for the business.
Love it. Love it. Next, we're going to put Svetlana on the spot. Svetlana, let's see, make sure this is up. What trends do you think are shaping the future of BRM as a career, and how are you guys at IT Chapter helping them out?
Well, as I mentioned already in my previous answers, there's a few of the key trends in the industry which create the need to hire the BRMs.
Right.
The emphasis on digital transformations, very, very strong shift towards the customer-centric approach, integration of BRM with other disciplines, such as Agile, for example, or orientation of organizations around the product management, integration of BRM discipline with IT service management, DevOps is becoming more prevalent. Another one, the famous one, fast development field of artificial intelligence. And all that is taken into consideration by us. We are supporting the trends to prepare future BRMs for these challenges. We are actively involved in providing comprehensive training and certification programs. We have generally more than 200 courses in IT chapters, but specifically focusing on the BRM, latest BRM certifications. We're master knowledge providers of BRM Institute. We provide all the knowledge offers of BRM Institute, and also we are offering the customized workshops for organizations. Yeah. And just last thing to mention, that we offer the BRM Executive Brief free of charge to anyone. Please come to us to request it. Is 1 or 2 hours overview of business relationship management for your leadership team. And if you are not yet in the BRM field, we are there for your organization.
That's fantastic. That's a really nice offer. We'll make sure we also have the QR codes. Don't forget, everybody, here in the screens as well. Now we're going to go to the next question. We're going to have everybody answer this. It's to everyone. So before we pop into the live questions that are coming in, I guess just in general, what's your advice to those who want to become a BRM? Sean, we'll start with you. What's your advice?
All right. Well, my advice, run away as fast as you can. No,
don't be a dentist. No root canals, right?
Of course, I don't want to scare anybody. No, to be honest, I would highly recommend it. If you're a people person, do it. In my experience, when you're able to help the business achieve their goals and minimize their levels of frustration, you gain that trust. That to me makes doing this every day with it.
Right. You gotta have that drive and that passion. It has to feel like you're worth something. Nick, Absolutely. What do you think? What's your advice?
Jump in and try it. Honestly, take the course and try or read up on it, or take up Svetlana's offer of that session to understand more. And honestly, if you think it's right for you, then dig a bit deeper and have conversations with your peers, colleagues, or folks around you, and see if that role is already within your department or organization, or if that role can be created. And start where you are. Start where you're small or large, and shape that role. So try it.
I love it. Jump in, try it, shape the role.
Try it.
Svetlana, what's your advice?
My advice to not to ignore the knowledge. The knowledge is a key, and take the course, educate yourself. Right. That's one. And another one, get involved in communities. Get involved with BRM Institute. BRM Institute has a vast knowledge of a body of knowledge of everything you need to know about business relationship management and about the communities. Well, I'm leading the community of BRMs in Canada, but there is a community in every country, and you can find the link to it in BRM Institute. Get involved with the community, meet others, and start developing your skills and competencies at BRM. And jump to it, of course.
Everybody's jump to it. Now we're going to get into some of our live questions, and we appreciate everybody putting in the live questions. I don't know if we'll get to all of them due to time, but we're going to try. So the next question is, do you think there's a difference between a BRM and an IT business partner role? Interesting question. If so, what's the difference? And have you seen any company that has both roles? Sean, you have your hand raised. Go for it.
Sure, indeed. And I can speak from experience. I think the BRM role and the IT business partner role go hand in hand.
Right.
The BRM is responsible for conveying to the business, what's happening, getting feedback, and taking back to your IT business partner. The IT business partner, in turn, is usually the person that works with the senior leadership, the IT senior leadership, that develops these processes and procedures. So with the BRM, I think communicating, hey, the business has said that they would like to see X, Y, Z. The IT business partner can say, okay, you know what? How do we fit this in to our strategy for the business?
Right. So very important strategy. Svetlana, you had your hand up. Did you want to add to this?
Yeah, I want to add to it that the actual BRM might not have the title of BRM. So what we observe again is purely from experience. In different organizations, BRMs are called differently. They might be called IT business partners. And we've seen that BRMs are called customer success managers, customer delivery managers, whatever it is. But in an essence, it was the role of BRM.
Right. Right.
It doesn't matter in this case.
Right. Right. Nick, I'm putting you on the spot. Did you want to add something, or do you want to take the next one?
No, that's fine. I was kind of mentioning to Svetlana, I think it differentiates between the organizations and how big or small the titles, and really look at roles and responsibilities. Some, as Sean mentioned, are truly different, but as Svetlana mentioned, some are very similar and do the same thing. So it's really understanding roles and responsibilities and defining those, because I've seen both.
Right. Absolutely. All right, we're getting into some more live questions. All right, the next one. In terms of performance management, how do you measure a BRM and what are the objectives? Who wants to take this first? Sean, I'm picking on you.
Okay, I think in terms of performance management, I think, in all honesty, just how much value you bring to the business. I think, like I mentioned before, the business just wants somebody in IT to listen to them. Right. Most of the times they don't feel like they're heard. So they want that interface. Some people say, all right, talking to IT, it's like talking to a brick wall. They don't understand what we're trying to do. They don't understand what, we need to, make money, and IT stopping us. So I think BRM is that interpreter. Right. So I think it's just a matter of, how much value, you are helping the business bring.
It's like it's the word of the day, interpreter. Svetlana, what do you think?
Well, there are a number of measurements which can be which can apply, but it linked to the objectives and the value proposition of the team and what exactly team is doing. What we've observed, for example, the performance, one of the interesting measures is of the performance and the value of the BRM team is their decrease of the value of the canceled projects in organization. Okay, so this organization was having a lot of canceled projects, which was leading to losing budgets, right? So the project was in the middle of execution and then was canceled for the reasons. So because business requirements were not understood. And this organization was measuring value of BRMs on the number of canceled projects. Also could be their effect on their organizational bottom line. So how much savings BRM activities would bring. But this measurements, is important to understand that these measurements should be linked to the performance of their provider organization, or in our case would be IT organization, right? So should be defined in their exercise, which we called strategy on the page, where BRM would define the scope, right, of the scope where the BRM team is involved, and then we design the measurements. Which initiatives BRM is participating in and how these initiatives are performing. That would be the real value of the BRMs.
Great answer. Thank you very much. Nick, did you want to add to
that? Sure. I'll talk about business value realization, satisfaction, contribution around the strategic and operational goals, communication and collaboration, and really how are the outcomes being delivered. Are really kind of performance measurements that we've put in place here to really measure the value of BRM and also communicate that to our partners and senior management. BRM is also a role that we're put in place and is there because it's shiny and new. It's really provides value, and this is how we're measuring that. So these are some of the measures that we've put in place.
Absolutely. Hearing that word a lot today, measurement. All right, our next live question. Again, we're going to try to get to everything, folks. So as businesses are becoming more technologically adept and smart, they are reaching out to vendors and identifying their own solutions and sometimes obtaining their own technology. That's a mouthful. How are you dealing with those BUs and how when they go after their own technology and it doesn't align with IT strategy? Who wants to volunteer to start off on this one?
I can maybe jump in.
Take it, Nick.
Saw Sean's hand go up, but for us, it's pretty strict around procurement. So anything that has an IT component or aspect does have to have IT sign off when it comes to procurement. So that's really a roadblock or a gate that we've put in place. But it doesn't stop the business units from really reaching out to vendors, talking to other organizations, companies, departments, to understanding their landscape, what they're doing. And the question's right. The users, employees are more and more in tune with technology these days and understand what's available to them. So we try to make sure that we have more and more frequent meetings to really understand what are they looking for, what is on their very short-term roadmap, but also medium and long-term, so we can try and get ahead of that. And we can kind of curve that appetite of looking for vendors by themselves and really providing them with information on how IT can really help them with the solution services they're potentially already in-house, or how can we obtain those for them and really ensure that we meet those outcomes. They always see a shiny new tool, somebody uses a new tool solution and they want it, but sometimes nobody wants it for the right reason. So it's all about that conversation and that communication of the why.
Absolutely. Shiny new tool. Sean, what do you think?
Now I'm going to piggyback on what Nick had said. I don't think you're going to ever stop people in the organization going out and having their own conversations. I know what we did as an organization, we put together a panel, to where, hey, the business partners and BRMs go out and, get information from the business. Hey, our competitors are using this. Okay. We would like to use it. We would look internally to see if we have something, similar that we're using globally. If not, we'll consider it. We'll have those conversations. We'll talk to the vendor, do our security reviews, and we can potentially implement it if all is well. But I think, again, this is where the BRM comes in, having that discussion with the business and just making them feel like they're heard. So rather than just saying no off the bat.
Absolutely. Great question and great answers. Svetlana, did you want to add to this?
Yeah, I want to add to that it comes to the organizational governance. What Nick mentioned is that in his organization, which is government organization, the governance is strong, and the business units just cannot bypass the IT, right, to go outside. But in other organizations, they can. So that this issue should be resolved at this level to start with, but we realize that it's not easy and sometimes not really possible. So, it comes to the influence. As BRMs, we can influence first, and secondly, we can deliberately think about how to build trust and credibility that they turn to us. There's no other way. Bottom up, and influence is about leadership, right? So we all have to become leaders and build relationships with our business units. Because if there's no organizational governance to reinforce that, there's no other way doing it.
Right. No influence, no trust. Absolutely essential, right?
Essential. Why they didn't turn to IT in the first place? Probably no trust. So
absolutely. Thank you. Great answer. Really good question. All right, our next live one. Okay. This is, I've seen the BRM reporting to different IT leadership. If you had a preference, who should the BRM report to? PMO, CIO, or Director of Development, et cetera, et cetera? Any volunteers on this one? Svetlana?
Yeah, that's a $1 million question. There's no defined way, I would say. But the value of BRMs would be as the value of the BRM capability and team is to report as high as possible to the CIO. So what we observed is that the BRM team reporting directly to CIO is bringing the biggest impact in organization and the most important value. Now to director of development, I would assume this is application development. My personal opinion is not optimal. However, we've seen it the same as at PMO as well, but we've seen it anyways in organizations. And with maturity, again, what we observe ultimately, BRM teams are becoming the independent unit reporting directly to CIO.
Love it. Nick, what do you think? CIO?
Yeah, and for us, they report to the deputy CIO, myself, where we can have those strategic conversations, but also the operational conversations. But Svetlana, I think, touched on a key word, which is maturity. It's extremely difficult to say we're going to implement BRMs and we're going to have them report into the CIO on day one. You have to build that trust and mature that capability and really put the foundational elements in place. So oftentimes you'll see the BRMs reporting to somebody else in the organizational structure, potentially somebody at a lower level. But the key piece is to grow the BRM capability, to mature that capability and build that trust and really deliver on performance, on measurements, and the outcomes. And naturally that role will rise based on the value.
Absolutely. Great answer. Sean, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I think Ms. Svetlana and Nick brought up very good points. And I would also say the higher you can is better, because in our organization, our team reports directly into the CIO, Now, what happens, what I've found, you know how it goes, the more people you have involved, the message gets changed as it goes up, so I think, reporting as high as possible kind of keeps the message intact without putting personal spins on it or departmental spins on it. So
their own agendas, right? Make sure it doesn't go through the whole phone line, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we've got some great, we're going to try to get to all these questions, but I don't think we'll have time, guys. Our next live question, is what are some common challenges that BRMs face and how could they effectively overcome these challenges? Nick, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, the word that comes to mind is trust. Trust is a challenge, building that trust, implementing BRM at a mature level. And evidently, I think the conversations naturally will go into the operational mode of services and delivering services. It's not something you can ignore. It's always going to be there. But over time, you want to really mature that conversation to be more strategic. Seen organizations have a strategic BRM and operational BRM, and some have been successful in just maturing the BRM capabilities to really more focus on the strategic side. There's, as Svetlana mentioned at the top of the hour, that there's definitely two roles to BRM. So some of them, that's what I see around some of the common challenges.
Interesting. Okay, Svetlana.
Well, the most observed challenge, which we see, is the lack of clarity of BRM role. So BRM role is introduced, but not adequately clarified in the organizational strategy and operating model. As a result, there are various expectations because the role is not clear. Everyone is expecting whatever they imagined because the role is not adequately formalized, and this is devaluing the BRM role. So recommendation here is to clarify the role, decision making, and activities, and position it properly in the eyes of your both provider organization, IT, and in the eyes of the business.
Right. Perfect. Makes sense. All right, we have time for one last question, everyone. Okay, our next live and last question is, how can aspiring BRMs prepare for future trends? What an awesome last question. Thank you for whoever sent this in. Who wants to start off with this one? Echoes. Sean, go ahead.
Okay, I think two things come to mind for me with regards to future trends. You got to have that growth mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, I mean, it's you're never going to change. You're going to be stuck in your bubble, and you have to keep up with what's new and what's trending at the moment. You got to be able to open your mind a bit. Right. How to adapt, for when circumstances change, and also to keep developing and expanding your skills and competencies. Keep up on the latest IT trends. What are folks talking about? I think for me, these are the main points.
It's not like IT changes often. Yeah. Every minute, every 2 seconds, it's just change. Svetlana?
Well, I like what Sean said about the growth mindset. Get educated and follow the latest trends. And BRM is about leadership, is about influence. BRMs are influencers. Get involved in this building of these skills. But for the future trends, I'm strongly recommending BRMs to learn as much as possible about artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. AI is so big right now. Absolutely. Nick, did you want to add some comments here?
Growth mindset, knowledge, be involved, involved in communities around, but also just be aware of the trends. So I mentioned AI is a big one. Digital transformation is still very big, depending in your organization where you are in that maturity level. And be involved in some projects and innovation, and potentially new solutions or services that are being implemented or talked about within your organization.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we had some really great questions. I'm very excited. So we are going to get into some closing remarks and see what everybody thinks. So first of all, I just want to say thank everybody. Thanks to our producers for doing a great job. Thank you for all the wonderful live questions, and well done, everybody. Panel, you guys did a great job bringing so much experience to the show today, and I can't thank you enough. So let's get into some closing remarks and let me know your thoughts. Maybe you can talk about, how people should get started, grow their career, and actually get hired. So Svetlana, I'll start with you.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So just really closing remarks. Just what are your final thoughts on maybe some advice on how people should get started and grow their career?
Yeah, well, the closing thoughts is thank you very much for inviting me, and that was a great panel exchanging with their peers in this panel, and their final recommendations to the peers. BRMs are fearless and they know their value, and have no fears, realize your value, go ahead and just do it.
I love it. Realize your value, show no fear.
No fear. Yeah.
Nick, what are your thoughts?
Start and have the conversations with peers and colleagues around you. And honestly, BRM is a really fulfilling role. I'm seeing a lot of comments coming around the chat here, and people that seem very happy and passionate and enthusiastic around the BRM role. So very excited for that and where BRM is going. But get involved with people around you and communities. And I love some of the comments that are being shared in the chat. Very insightful and accurate. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Sean, last thoughts?
Absolutely. Well, just if you're thinking about it, do it. If you're a people person, you find like, people tell you that you're a good listener, consider the role. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for joining us today, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. We couldn't have asked for a better group of panelists. And it's interesting, I took my BRMP a few months back, and I was just amazed at just the amount of content and how phenomenal it was. So I highly recommend, if you are interested in getting to know more about BRM, if you're interested in looking at the courses, you can check out our QR code, reach out to IT chapter. We at APMG, here's resources as well. So also just kind of final notes here. Don't forget, over on our website, you can search for answers to over 2,000 questions. We have a full comprehensive free resource connecting you over 200 experts from all around the world. And then don't forget, you can also listen to our audio versions of these shows on whatever podcast platform you prefer. Don't forget, take a moment, like, share, subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything and really help other folks get to our content. And then lastly, coming up later this week on Friday the 14th, we'll be looking at why certifications matter when building your career in 2024. And then on Monday the 17th, we'll be discussing using AI and automation in business 2024. And then lastly, on Wednesday the 19th, we're running a big webinar on the PM Skills Lab. So thank you so much to everybody. We really appreciate great questions, great answers. Thank you again to the panelists and for everybody who joined our show today. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thank you so much. Thank you.